4, 3, 2, 1.
Hi, it's Renee Fredericksen at the Caregiver Resource Center, a part of MAC, your area agency on the Lower Eastern Shore. Remember that because our service area technically is the Lower Eastern Shore, we have many programs that offer services beyond those borders as well. Our purpose at the Caregiver Resource Center, as you remember, is to make connections for our caregivers and their families and to introduce them to resources in their community that can really be helpful in keeping the family together at home where most of us want to be. Today, I'm going to introduce you to a new resource in the community. Well, kind of. They have a new name, but they have the same old purpose, and as well, they've now expanded their services and reach beyond the 4 counties of the Lower Eastern Shore. My guest today is Michelle Parker. Michelle, how are you today?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Great. Well, Michelle, when I first met you not so long ago, you were part of HCI. And what does that stand for?
HCI stands for Holly Community Incorporated, not to be misconstrued for Holly Center, which houses people with disabilities. We are a community-based program where we help folks to remain independent in the community.
Okay. Well, just to get this straight in my mind then, Holly Community is that set of dark brown brick buildings along Snow Hill Road, and that's a residential facility?
That's correct.
And you are behind that, located in the MAC Center also, and you offer services to people that are only seniors or of all ages?
We offer services to people of all ages, all disabilities, ages 0 to 100, if beyond.
Okay.
Anybody who has a disability, we serve.
Okay, well, the first thing that I noticed when I walked by your offices down there is a really cool space that looks like a storefront. And I noticed all kinds of assistive devices in there, everything from a clap-on lamp that I might try out to different types of wheelchairs and telephones. And so when you talk about helping people who are disabled of any age at HCI, that's the first thing I think of. But I think you help them with connections to information for disabled people also?
Yeah, we at Holly Community, now actually we are a Bay Area Center for Independent Living. We help people in the community to target 4 core services. We offer 4 core services to folks with disabilities in the community, those being information and referral, independent living skills, mentoring, and advocacy.
At your Center for Independent Living?
Yes.
Great. Well, I know that with BACIL you cover the same area as Holly Community Incorporated did, or is that a larger area now?
We are covering all 9 counties on the Eastern Shore, from Somerset, Worcester, Wycomico, all the way up to Queen Anne's and Cecil County.
So both the lower and the upper shore is covered with BACIL, that Center for Independent Living. Well, I remember from previous work with disability populations that Centers for Independent Living are actually a part of a national network of services. And I am so thrilled to know that your services now have expanded and your territory really covers the whole peninsula. You do fine work at BACIL, and people will be amazed at the connections that can be made by talking with you folks there. How many are on your staff, Michelle?
Right now we have approximately 20 to 25 staff throughout different programs at our agency. We also are, obviously, we're housed in the same building with MAC. So we, as the MAP portion of it, or the Maryland Access Point, we worked hand in hand, not only we're the disability partner, but with the Area Agency on Aging, being MAC.
So you work with people that may be younger and disabled, people that may be older and disabled, or become disabled at some point in our lives. Great. Well, you always have very helpful folks there that can connect to information, a variety of programs. One of them that I hear you are involved with now is something called MIPA. What does MIPA stand for?
MIPA is now the Medicare Improvement for Patient and Provider Act, which basically the role or the goal of this MIPA grant is to, one, reach out to folks who are under 65 who are receiving Medicare benefits to let them know that extra subsidies and extra help is available to them once they start receiving Medicare after the 2-year wait.
Well, I understand that, Michelle, because, boy, getting through the modern systems of services, be they health or be they social services, is really pretty complicated, and it takes someone with the sophistication of a BACIL staff person to be able to guide me through all of that, unless I work with it every day. So this is great news. Do I have to come to your office to get this help, or are there other ways to get help?
Well, part of it is that we reach the rural communities, which, as you know, on the Eastern Shore, it's all the way from Nanticoke to Tyaskin to Mardella. So you think of the rural communities where folks just don't have the transportation to get into us. So a simple call would work. You could call us. Email if you're email savvy. We can come to you if need be. So we do home visits to make sure that you're receiving all the coverages and things you should be receiving.
So what exactly do you do in a home visit?
Well, what we do is we go in, and of course we have you sign the applicable paperwork to make sure that we have releases and learn about, what your condition is, what your disability is, where your barriers come into play. A lot of people, they just don't know what they don't know. So when we go in, we're able to look at the big picture and say, you're lacking this coverage for insurance, or maybe you need this assistive device, or maybe it would be easier for you to enter in the house this way with a ramp, or you should be using this this AT device, really. So I think that we kind of look at the big picture. So we're not only going in for one purpose, we're looking at all the things involved so that we can just really get a grasp on how we can help this person to be more independent and to remain in their home.
Well, that sounds great. So if you were to come to my house, you would get out of your car, and by the way, I've made an appointment with you in advance, so I know that you're coming, and I kind of dust things up a little bit so I look nice. But at any rate, once you get there and out of the car, I'm imagining you're already looking at how easy it is for me to get in and out of my house, how safe it looks to start with, and what kinds of things you might be able to suggest that would make it even safer. And at the same time, I know that you're there to give me good advice, and I can accept all of it, or some of it, or none of it. Does that assessment cost me anything, Michelle?
Nope, that's covered through the grant that we received to become the Center for Independent Living. And with that service of me coming into your home or me coming to assess you, is that if I see something that you're not receiving, we are closely knit together with the Area Agency on Aging and the State Health Insurance Assistance Program. So it might not just be that, something's out of place and that might be a fall hazard, but maybe you're not receiving low-income subsidies, or you're not receiving food stamps, or you're not. So we're looking at the big picture so that it's a single point of entry for that person coming in to receive all these different services that they may be eligible for, that they didn't know they could be receiving. That might make it just a little bit easier for folks on disability, because we all know living on a fixed income is very hard. It's a very tight budget. So you're getting that overall service in one visit.
Great. So that means that I can expect that you probably bring in a little iPad with your questions on it, or some sheets of paper, and you'll ask me about my condition and what kinds of things I can't do and what kinds of things are real challenges for me, hard to do. And then you would recommend gadgets or services that might help me fill in those gaps so I can live comfortably and safely.
And independently.
Okay, and at the same time, I heard you say that you're going to ask me some questions about how I pay for my daily living expenses, how I might pay for extra services that come in, or some of these gadgets that we talk about. And by the end of the discussion, I have a real good idea of what would make my life more comfortable and how it will be paid for. And the whole assessment is for free. About how long does this assessment take?
Well, it depends, because you can develop a goal over a certain amount of time where, something might not just be a quick fix Band-Aid approach where you're just putting something in place and that's it. We want to teach the skill that goes along with it. So perhaps, for example, if you are trying to live independently and you will say need a ramp to get in and out. So there's a process that's involved with that. So it wouldn't just be a one-stop visit. It would be, let's get a hold of local contractors or our mission group and let's see, do you qualify for this? So it's the steps to get to that ultimate goal, being that you would be able to enter and exit safely.
You know what, that is so reassuring, Michelle, because otherwise I might imagine that, okay, this woman was here and we had this discussion and now she promised these things are coming, and one day I see this package on my front step and I would never see her again. But you just told me that, no, you follow up, you check back to make sure that things are working as planned, and check to see if there's anything further needed.
Right.
That is just a great service, a full service station, I might add.
Exactly.
Well, speaking of these full services and going back to the MIPA grant, so now we've gone through this discussion, and one of the pieces was coverage of my needs, financial coverage of my needs. And I'm not sure how to apply for Medicare if I'm not already receiving it, or some other healthcare coverage that I might be eligible for or almost eligible for. For example, it may be so obvious that I need help, and I have fully qualified for Medicare, that I go through the Medicare paperwork and it's done. But maybe if I'm just kind of on the edge, I might qualify for a QIMBY, qualified Medicare beneficiary, or a SLIMBY, another version of that. And I've always sort of thought about those programs as that detour, or that alternate route to get to my Medicare benefits or to my Medicaid benefits. But those determinations are a little bit harder to figure out. And is that where MIPA comes into play?
Well, MIPA is more geared toward trying to get folks enrolled in the program, not as us walk. It's not really for our agency to sit and enroll you, but to make sure that you qualify for these benefits.
In other words, that I understand what eligibility is, and then to see if I really am eligible.
Right, because
Okay.
After the two, people who receive Medicare, before they're able to get insurance coverage, there's that 2-year gap where there's no
Okay.
coverage for them. So when they finally become eligible for Medicare, they go through the process and they get signed up for Medicare coverage. And then depending on what parts that you sign up for in Medicare, and depending on how much money you're receiving per month, would qualify you in maybe a Quimby or a Slimby program, at which time your SHIP person or your state health insurance plan, assistance plan person would be able to help you, which would be Carol Humphreys. So we're kind of a pre-qualifier, a pre-screener in just getting the word out that, you know, you might be 35 years old receiving Medicare because you're disabled, and we, you know, you could be getting this assistance, and then we could direct them in the right way. You know, so it's not just for the aging population, it's for the disabled population that are receiving the same benefits through Medicare and Medicaid. So, you know, they're entitled to these benefits that kind of stick with the stigma of it's just for the aging population. Well, it's also for the disabled population who receive Medicare.
You know, it reminds me a little bit of, well, buying a car. You know, I need this car to get back and forth to work. And of course, the car has to be paid for, and I don't have the ready cash for that, so I need to take out a loan for it. So I give all the initial information to the car salesman, and in this case, I'm giving my initial information to you as you interview me in my home to see if I'm eligible. And then the car salesman goes back to find out from headquarters if everything is filled out correctly and if I really am eligible, and comes back with the news. And in the same way then, you take this information you've gathered to another level, and they tell you whether you've got all the I's dotted and the T's crossed, and whether the person appears eligible or not. And then you bring that information back and things start flowing.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
You know, Carol Humphreys being the SHIP coordinator for the local 3 counties, I mean, she may want to set up her own time where she can go over what actual benefits you would qualify for, but we're trained to know what the triggers are to say, okay, they might be making, you know, $900 a month. Well, they would be qualified for this program.
Okay.
If they're spending this much in medical costs, because, you know, Medicare only does pay the 80%. So a lot of our seniors and disabled are paying 20% out of pocket, and on a fixed income, can really, it really puts a strain on them financially. So there are these programs that exist to help these folks.
And you folks are the ones that know about them and can help make that connection.
Right.
Well, this sounds just tremendous for people that are really in need of that help. And I know that we reach a certain number of people with our PAC 14 broadcast. But there are people outside of our listening area or our viewing area. How would those people know about your program? In what ways will you let people know about this service, Michelle?
Well, what we're doing at Bay Area Center for Independent Living is we are actually developing like a tour of the shore type of thing, where we're getting our local partners, whether it be your local physicians, your pharmacies. It's going to be an invitation only, and it's going to be for you know, your social services department, your health departments, places that people with needs and disabilities go on a regular basis.
So in other words, your tour of the shore means you're going to pack up your brochures and things and actually visit different key offices throughout the whole shore to let people know what is available.
We're going to hit we're going to hit each of the 9 counties, setting up a central location for approximately an hour and a half.
Okay.
Where we're going to invite all of these folks in to learn about our services, so that they can also make proper referrals to us to say, hey, you know, I have this, obviously with HIPAA privacy laws, but, you know, pass the information on to the consumers to say, hey, you know, you could go to them for some help, or maybe you should use this resource. So it's getting our name out there and getting our services out there so that we can reach the people that aren't being reached in, again, the rural areas.
Sure.
So
if I don't see this broadcast and I don't happen to visit one of those offices and I have a friend that I think could use this help, who should they call, Michelle?
Well, they can call myself, and my phone number at Bay Area Center for Independent Living is 443-260-0822.
And is there an extension that I have to punch in, or?
You'll reach the operator. You just need to have them patch you through to myself, and
Okay.
there it goes.
So I just ask for Michelle Parker, and I'm patched in, and the conversation takes place. If you are out on the road, Michelle, is it fine for me to leave my name, my phone number, and maybe the best time to reach me on a voicemail?
That would be fine. You leave your name and phone number. I try to have a personal policy to call you back within 24 hours and, go over. I may pre-screen you on the telephone to look and see, to make sure you're in the right place, what your needs are, and the best way to go at those needs so we can get the best success.
Well, that's really good, because then I know what kind of paperwork maybe I need to have handy when you come for that visit to my home, if the visit is still necessary.
Right.
What about a website or an email address? Is that another way that I could contact you?
Our website is still under construction as our new transition into the Center for Independent Living.
So maybe I should wait for a little bit, maybe wait till this summer for that?
I would say by the summer it should be up and running,
Okay.
which we will also get the website out there, but I can be reached by email. My email is mparker, Parker, at discoverhci.org.
Okay, that sounds super. Well, who should be the most interested in this MIPA grant?
Basically, the most interested individuals for the MIPA grant, or the greatest population that it's going to serve, are people that are currently receiving Medicare benefits.
Okay, and did I hear you say earlier that they are the younger disabled? They're younger than 65?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Well, we serve all ages, so I can say if we get into the senior population, that's where we have the warm handoff with MAC, where our working relationship is very strong. It's great. And we also reach the under 65 population, the people that are receiving disabilities, your baby boomers, your youth, all ages really, as long as you are disabled and receiving the Medicare benefit.
Okay. Michelle, thank you so much for the conversation and all of the great information this morning. We really appreciate knowing that there is a BACIL, Bay Area Center for Independent Living, right here in our community of Salisbury, that serves all 9 counties on the Eastern Shore and is just a phone call or an email away. And it was just a real pleasure to learn about the many ways you can help us to get assistive devices, to get insurance coverage, and to get the services that we need, both a connection to health and social services. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
A thank you also to PAC 14 for airing this broadcast and bringing important information to our viewers. I thank you as well to MAC for joining hands with HCI and now BACIL to bring services to people in their homes.
Would you like to see your community organization or nonprofit group featured on PAC 14? To get started, contact us at 410-677-5014 or visit our website at www.pac14.org. PAC 14 is a great way to connect with your community.